you know, that's why you get the, like the is it Hawkins Kennedy? Is that is it this one?
This one. Yeah.
Yeah, Hawkins Kennedy. That's why you get a positive Hawkins Kennedy is the posterior lower compressive strategies there. Frederick, how's the French press this morning or this afternoon for you?
It was great. It's afternoon. It's almost 1 p.m.
Okay.
So it's my second coffee of the day.
Oh, wow. Well, I feel special then.
I have a question about a client. She is in her 50s, 3 weeks post-surgical, left shoulder, and they removed some bone spurs and all of these things they do when they find an impingement.
Yes.
And yeah, she came in with limited range of motion everywhere, pain related, I guess. And now 3 weeks after, I did some I guess manual stuff to assist her in feeling things better and moving things better. And yesterday she came in and she said to me, yeah, I was training again and I'm just doing a shoulder bridge again. And I was like, wait a minute, isn't that the thing where you put your hands just behind your back and press your whole body up? So she was doing this.
Like back bend?
Yeah, like a back bend. Yeah. So 3 weeks post-surgical. And I was like, wait a minute, how is she able to do that? And then I was measuring her again and she had like pretty good external rotation. She's a narrow ISA, if I recall correctly, but her flexion stops a little, or it wants to turn when I'm doing your test a little bit above 90 degrees. And she has a very flat thoracic spine and this overly flexed cervical thoracic junction kind of thing going on. So so I was thinking, she's probably creating the space to do that, and that's why I don't get her or she has no good shoulder flexion measurement, because she is just turning away from that. But that makes her able to do that 3 weeks post-surgical because she is creating this space. So I was wondering, or I have several questions. First question is this maybe possible that her presentation of her spine and where she is creating space led her to this problem? And what are the steps how she got there, you know? Because I'm seeing quite a lot of people with this flat thoracic spine representation, but they are also, some are wide and some are narrow.
Yeah.
So I was wondering how much or what are the steps? How do people get there? You know?
Okay, so let's just look. You said she was an arrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just look at an extreme representation of that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So right away she's in a little bit of a pickle based on the diaphragm shape that does not allow a lot of we're talking about internally now. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the compensatory strategy of the diaphragm does not create like a posterior lower expansion in the lung because of the diaphragm shape. So she's going to be anteriorly expanded. It's going to shove her forward. She shoves herself back. Okay. So she pushes her chest backwards, and then she falls backwards, and then she pushes herself forwards, and then she pushes herself backwards, and she pushes herself forwards, right? So she just goes boom, 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 boom. And every one of these strategies is an exhalation compressive strategy. But the advantage of that, okay, is that she creates this orientation so that she's turning her glenoid laterally, right? So that creates an ER space, okay? It's not going to allow a whole lot of relative motion to occur. So chances are she's going to get, for every element of ER that she gains, she gives up some IR, right? And so where she's probably doing this back bend is she's got this orientation, like crazy orientation into ER, right? And then that gives her just enough so she creates IR through the extremity so she can balance on her hands, right? But I think you're correct that her ability to do that may very well have led to the fact that she ended up with this so-called shoulder impingement, because it requires a tremendous amount of posterior compression to achieve that position. So think about it. It's like if she's in a back bend with her hands on the ground and her feet on the ground, so she's in this inverted U-shaped, right? Okay. If she was a tube, which she's a tube, and I bend the tube, and the underside of the tube is fully compressed here, and then there's expansion on the other side, right? You see it?
Mm-hmm.
And so all of her ER measures in a relative sense should be limited. Now she's creating an orientation but there's Misha thinking again, because she's creating an orientation, right, to capture the ER position. Okay.
Okay.
She's literally pinning her scapulae together.
Yeah.
And pushing it forward. Well, if I push it forward, it makes this look like it's not really expanded. She's pushing it forward to create a space. So she created a shape, right? In a very compressed state, but that's how much compression she has relative to the anterior. So chances are you got somebody that's going to have like a low pressure abdominal strategy, because she's got to let it go somewhere to make the U shape, right? She's probably not doing it through her sternum. She's squeezing in her sternum, so she's going to push stuff towards her gut. So her abdomen is going to probably be where she's going to give way the most. But do you see what I'm getting at as far as the strategy to create this shape? Yes, no?
I hope so. I think she's...
Squeeze your scapulae together. Pinch them together. That's her ER.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's the reason why she has like no IR at the shoulder, right? So her ER is magnified by the fact that she is just turning her scapula backwards, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I guess that's why she regained some range of motion when I stole that from you, the side-lying technique to mobilize the dorsal-rostral area. Yeah. And this has worked really wonders in several clients. Yeah, it's a great one. Yeah, but it's still based off of orientation and not like regaining a whole lot of relative motion and expansion. Yeah. Okay. So from an intervention standpoint, I was thinking I'll give her some expansion and space back there so she can actually have some movement and some relative motions.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the abs where she is releasing. So is the strategy to expand somewhere where she is compressed first and then try to see somewhere else and do some other stuff like with the I mean there are chances that she's compressed somewhere else, correct?
Oh, she's very, like, if she's laying on the table, I think she's going to be the representation that we were talking about before, where her legs just kind of fall out to the side in ER, right? Yeah. So you're going to have to create you're going to have some anterior compression to create posterior expansion. So you got to be careful here, but it's where you create it that's going to be important. So let's think about this though. So have you seen my impingement video on YouTube? I
don't think so. Oh. Maybe, but I'm not sure. I've watched dozens of videos. So
three impingements of the shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seen that.
Yeah. Okay. So chances are, she may have all of them. Okay.
Okay.
All right. But when you think about like reaching overhead and things like that, you need to build them sequentially. So her posterior lower compressive strategy, because you've got a limitation in shoulder flexion, that tells you've got a posterior lower compressive strategy, which means that as she is elevating her arm, she never had any external rotation there available to her. So her spine is already turning away from that arm, which means that she's raising her arm in what we would consider internal rotation, and then she hits the, that's why you get the Hawkins Kennedy. Is that Is it this one?
This one. Yeah.
Yeah, Hawkins Kennedy. That's why you get a positive Hawkins Kennedy is the posterior lower compressive strategies there.
Okay.
Right. And so chances are she was diagnosed with an impingement in some way, shape, or form under those circumstances. So somewhere in 90 degrees, whether it was abduction, which would be dorsal rostral compression, right? And so if she's got posterior lower, if she's got dorsal rostral compression, you've got 2 of 3 impingements for sure. Okay. And so you're going to have to clean that up first.
Okay.
Right. Get a truer measure of relative ER, and then you should capture IR at the same time.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. Yeah.
So think about what she's capable of doing, right, with this back bend thingy. And now let's directly oppose it. So she's got a low pressure belly, okay, and I need posterior lower expansion first. Where can you put her that you capture all that at once?
Prone position.
So yes. So let's take her back bend.
Yeah.
And let's flip her over. So she's expanding the front side, compressing the back side. How can we compress the front side, expand the back side?
Quadruped.
Yeah, real simple. Real simple.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like, and it'll be like a big slam dunk for you, because if she's effective and you're the world's greatest coach, which I think you are, then you will notice that you will pick up that early shoulder flexion. That'll be your first measure to come back that will tell you that you're being effective. Because if you can do that, so the cool thing about quadruped, not only are you going to get the posterior lower expansion, you got a really good shot at getting an up pump handle. And so right there, you just took her from arm at the side to getting above shoulder level. Okay. So quadruped is really powerful for her, assuming it's not painful, assuming that she's able to, capture the positions that you want. Cool.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Real quick, if she doesn't tolerate the weight bearing, which I would think that if she can do a back bend, that she can probably handle the weight bearing. But if she can't handle the weight bearing, just drop her down to her side. So all fours is like a lazy bear. Okay, there's a really lazy bear position, which is if you put yourself in quadruped and just fall over to the side.
Okay.
That's a really lazy bear, but it's the same position. It's the same position. It's just less gravity than you had before, and it gives you an opportunity to turn. So that's where I would start looking at that. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool. Thank you very much.